We have come to organizing ourselves around what are sometimes they're called the five faculties, or I'm going to be using them as powers, because when they are in a sense kind of perfected, then they do become powers and can be very helpful for our maturity in Dharma practice. So I thought I'd start with one of my poems here that seems to work. Rim of time. Sitting on the rim of time, waiting for the breath, some foothold on a mountainside, some place to take a stand. Over and over again, disappointed, until that grasps floats on the eddy of time, saying, this is body, found, a river carrying everything and nothing. So anyway, that's out of Scuffed Up Shoes. And so just a little review here, they are these five, and I consider they are spiritual powers when they are developed. And really what is just to kind of hold them as a means, because there's I'll just go through them, because first there's this word sati, which I talked about last night, and mindfulness. And, again, that word is co-opted in so many different ways now. But I think the word awareness, that's something that, it's that knows what's happening. And it's also something that is not ruminating from the past or anticipating the future. It is really momentary awareness, and that part of this is each of these powers is a development, and they say that to develop sati or mindfulness or awareness is to prevent heedlessness. So that's kind of one of its strengths, And so really just to go through them, there's which I'm kind of doing these different than I usually do them, because I've been thinking about how sometimes in the suttas they just have a different format for them. And for me, yes, mindfulness is kind of the core of it all. The awareness is the core. And then there are these balancing forces that are there that become your support and ultimately your power of keeping that heedlessness or that awareness really workable, And the first of these, there's a word called virya, or sometimes it's translated as, it's why I wanted us to do that sit tonight, doing the counting, because I feel like it's one of the core pieces of collecting ourselves. And I know I've done it for years and years, and it's very common in the Zen world, that 1 to 10. And it has an amazing ability to kind of pull you out of something and just try to keep you here in the moment, which is really its purpose. And keep, in a sense, kind of keep the energetics of this up. And one of the things is that this virya, or this, it is really this persistence, effort, energy, perseverance to hang in there, is a very necessary piece to this practice, And so starting out with recognizing that it's easy to kind of schlep off in these practices, because they're not simple. They're not, even though they're simple, they're really not easy. They take kind of this perseverance of oh, I'm going to sit this morning. Oh no, I'm going to have my cup of coffee instead, or oh, I'm going to turn on the news, or I'm going to, oh, I didn't finish that chapter last night. There are so many options that we have, and this is saying, no, I'm actually going to that my spiritual development is more important than all the kind of sidelines I have going, And I think this is really important, because we spend so much time, or at least I do. It's just like, if you're not doing a lot, you're still doing a lot, and it's something about just cultural reference. And so the sense that, oh, I'm going to actually, and it has to do, the basis of this is the discipline to stay on track, And one of the beauties to me always was the fact that if you are, it's probably the loveliest thing about retreat is that you have a collective that energetically, that virya is kind of keeping you on track, where, when you're home and, you have all your habits and stuff, it's easy to kind of wander off and not come back to it, So I encourage you to it does take, it is a discipline. It takes an awareness of being energetic with it. And it is also part of this is the fact that spiritual practice in some ways is very simple. It's simply repetition. It's that we repeat. It's just like sitting and simply counting your breath as a means. And I've spent a lot of time doing that simply because I guess my mind scatters easily. And I suspect there are other people like that. And it's really why it's a very supportive practice in our ability to collect ourselves. And then you collect yourselves for a purpose. It's to use it for insight, but you have to do that first. Now, in the kind of the Buddhist tradition, there's a great story, and I like the story. And I know that there was periods of my practice where I just wanted, the wanting was strong, and maybe it was just to get away from suffering, but it was strong enough to keep me efforting, keeping me on track. But at the same time, it's just like you can underdo it, but you can overdo it. And there's a great story in the suttas of Sona, who was before he became a monk, he was a lute player. And this is Sutta story, that the Buddha recognizes that he is over efforting, and therefore he's kind of missing what the middle way is about. And so he appears to Sona and goes through an explanation of, how this middle path works. But Sona, when the strings of your lute were neither too taut nor too loose, but adjusted to an even pitch, did your lute then have a wonderful sound, and was it easily playable? Certainly, O Lord. Similarly, Sona, if energy is applied too strongly it will lead to restlessness. And if the energy is too lax, it will lead to lassitude. Therefore, Sona, keep your energy in balance and balance the spiritual faculties in this way so you can focus your attention. Afterwards, Sona kept his energy balanced and his spiritual and explored these spiritual faculties. And in this way, he focused his attention. And then the Venerable Sona, living alone, secluded, diligent, ardent, and resolute, soon realized here and now, through his own direct knowledge, that unequal goal of his holy life. So that's story, you know. But, you know, it also is the kind of the art of this is that it takes a lot of, whether it's signing up for this or not signing up for it, but showing up for it, I should say, and to keep us on track, because it's so easy to fall off the path in the way that which is it's true for me. I'll put my hand up that there is a kind of a way that maybe it's a bit. I like the word sloth and torpor. It just I don't have the energetics or sometimes the perseverance or the persistence to actually stay. So I know that over the years, one of the things that has been true about me is there's also a laziness that we all are subject to, So I want to kind of introduce this, and then I want to go backtrack here because I want to do some questions, and it has to do with awareness and mindfulness, and were you able to, because it's such an important factor here that I was trying to encourage you to sit in the morning and to see if you can't stay as mindful as you can during the day. And but it takes that virya, it takes that perseverance and that effort. And we can say that also the word sati sometimes is just translated as remembering, So you're, driving or in the supermarket or at work or wherever. And do you remember? And this is why I think, to me, one of the great advantages of sitting is that it has more of a tendency to help me remember during the day, So anyway, if you have questions or answers or something, but we'll just do mindfulness, and tomorrow we're going to combine energy and concentration, and then we'll go on, to the other kind of couple things, which is faith and wisdom. So it's always a little tricky. It's not like we're in a room, but if you raise your hand, Marcia may be able to see you. And please, I see Mary. I see your hand up. I don't know if.
Yes. Hi, John and everyone. I have a question. So I did my sit this morning with nothing, which I was really proud of, because normally I've been sitting with Gil. So I didn't know but I wasn't sure whether you wanted us to sit by ourselves. So I did that this morning and it went very well. I just did it by myself. So that was my main question. By ourselves, or can we be sitting, guided with Gil, which I think you've known about Gil. I'm not sure if you know that he's been.
I know.
Oh, okay, I figured you did. Okay, because you know of him. Yes. Okay. So that was my question.
Well, this has to do with a word called skillful means.
Okay.
And principally, you're going to have to learn to do this on your own. It's just like, if I've got a terrible thing to say here, went through mine. you're going to die by yourself, no matter who's there or what. I'm sorry. So you might as well, learn to do it. But, it's, and I know he really is loving doing this in the mornings and stuff. So I'm saying, what to you, Mary, what is skillful means? Is it that, this morning, could you sit there and could you stay on track?
Yes, I did very well. I was quite surprised. And the 20 minutes went by fast because I put a timer on. Sorry. But it went by fast. But I think it's because I've been practicing for a year, but
Yeah.
No, but so I enjoyed it. It was nice not to have to freak out or not have someone lead me,
Correct.
Yeah. So thank you for answering that.
Well, I think, ultimately, you're responsible, and the idea is that, in a sense, we come along and we kind of have some crutches, and we need those crutches for a little while. It's like it's like a little kid on the tricycle with the training wheels, But at some point, you got to take the training wheels off.
Yeah. Yes.
And be that for yourself. And you'll find then all the times that you have sat with Gil and in the morning that there is a understanding or continuity that is already that you've that's an imprint that's there. So that's great, Mary.
Thank you. Really appreciate your householder retreat and all of your talks.
Great. So I can't see everybody, but especially the ones that only have names that they can speak up, but not raise their mitts.
Philip, go ahead. I can see your hand up, and then Charmaine. So Philip first and then Charmaine.
Okay.
So John, my question is, I've been doing an almost daily meditation in the morning, about 20 minutes for the last year. And what really struck me about this morning, and it caused me to reflect, is that when you talk about trying to remain mindful during the day, that's my challenge as I start to get into the day and things start happening. So what can you offer as an idea to keep my heart in the right place and to stay mindful during the day?
Thank you for the question, Philip. This is kind of a big deal for everyone here because we all have lives, and if we were all just in retreat, it would be one thing, but we're not. We're actually living our lives, and to me, a lot of that remembering that has to happen is remembering to bring your attention back to your body. It'd be nice if you could just come to your breath, but which happens sometimes, but a larger sense experience is the body itself, which then can trigger that, oh, I'm here now. Oh boy, I was really gone. And it's just that to me, so the body is the kind of one of the main keys. It'd be nice if it was the mind, but the mind is so fickle. It just chases anything that comes around, a memory or plan or, some idea or whatever. But the body is pretty straightforward. So I hope that's helpful, Phil, because it's a big question, and it's a big training to somehow come to a place where there is a kind of a general awareness that's there. It can be there all day, which is actually more of a combination in mind and body. But to start somewhere with it is the body's what I find probably the most helpful. So let's see, who was Marcia? I didn't.
Charmaine. Charmaine is next.
Find Charmaine.
Yes. What I found to keep me remembering all day was one thing in the morning that I'm really aware of is how I clench my jaw.
Mm.
I get in touch with that. I know I even do it at night. And so what I did today was whenever I was out and about, I went to my jaw to see and loosen it up. And so I had a focus that got me back. So it was a little piece, but you know, it was good because loosened up a little.
It brought you home.
It brought me home, right? Just like talking about it now is just loosening it up and relaxing it.
Mhm.
Yeah. When I find that remembering the hardest is when, I guess I can use the word anxious. When um, when I'm in a situation with somebody,
Mhm.
whether it's waiting to pay your credit card or waiting for the workman to come, there's something about I just clamp up to do the right thing and to be as efficient and all that crap, you know, of trying to make the interaction go well. It just, I forget about my body. I forget about going to the heart, going to the breath. And it's really the hardest point for me when it's so needed to just say, okay, you're just going to have to wait till I get it out of my purse or till I come back with what he needs. But, you know, it's a little,
Yeah, but
I don't know.
it's a huge piece, Charmaine, because that, you know, this is the thing. The practice is based on the fact that as a human being, we're anxious beings, you
Yeah.
know, and that this is actually the counteracting of that on some level.
Mhm.
So ultimately, when you're talking, I'll just have to say this, that to me, you know, first of all, it's always very difficult in any kind of exchange, you know. And for me, it somehow, can I go to my heart, because my brain's kind of buzzing and trying to organize things and make sure
Yes,
everything's okay, and you know, I'm taking care of them, you know,
that's
which is,
right. Exactly.
you have to be careful, you know,
Yeah.
because really, ultimately, you know, it's about being in yourself and being whole, and you know, having a clear mind and an open heart, and a body that recognizes when it contracts around anything, you know, oh, there, that contracts, oh, I put my attention there, I can relax it. And that's actually what we're teaching ourselves in the sitting, you know.
Yeah.
And this is more where the rubber hits the road.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
Guy has his hand up.
Hi there. This is great, John. Thank you. Um, so I find that that I need to have like a single focus for the day, whether it's an idea or a mantra that, you know, or a phrase or a sentence that I use as the focus for the day. Oops. And I have to set alarms, or when I do set alarms, it's just really helpful. You know, whether it's 3 or 5 times a day, and I commit to, like, I'm just going to stop for 2 minutes. You know, and what I notice is that the anxiety and especially but lots of uncomfortable feelings. They're just telling my brain is telling my whole body, don't stop, don't stop. There's something you have to do. You know, it's the it's
Proverbial cultural anxiety.
yeah, yeah. And I guess that's what makes the whole if the practice is stop, sit.
Mhm.
It's what makes it a challenge. Anyway, I just thought I would share that and ask you if there are things you could add, something you want to say about that.
Well, I want to say, for years, of course, I wasn't in this culture, and for some reason here, it's really hard for me. But I had a mala, and I practiced doing mantra all day long, and I stopped sometimes, but it became kind of habitual. But it actually was such a powerful tool, you know, and you know. And I think, mantras, they don't have to, I mean, I used everybody's mantras from everywhere, and, you know, I had one, may my heart follow the Dharma. And, it was my own, it was a mantra I kind of made up as something that I used, just like the breath, as something repetitive that then kind of pointed to what I was intending, what my intention was. So you can do that. You can, it's like the counting the breath is a little bit, I really like that, but, you can also make up something, it doesn't have to be something from, any culture. It is really it is the thing about the mindfulness and the repetition and the instilling of it over and over and over again, So, it's been used for, from the Christian tradition, the Tibetan tradition, Ajahn Chah, they always said he taught more, he taught a single word to the villagers, and didn't always teach them like breath meditation. He taught them just to repeat this word Buddho. And it simply, was, it translates as awakened. So, just use that, awake. And that became kind of the village's mantras. And there was another one that was about Dharma, about truth, using that Dhammo. And then there was another one he used, Sangho, which was just community in the Sangha. So these are very simple things. And it can be very complex, or it can also be very simple. So thanks, Guy.
Yeah, that's great. I'll just share one other little quick thing is that I really love this the meditation you had us do today. It feels really great. I haven't done it in a really long time, but it's actually what helped me have a daily practice. I was so all over the place for so many years, and I was house sitting for a woman who is a Buddhist monk, and I just picked up one of the books and it said that, and I just spent. And the other thing was, do it for 2 minutes and don't do it anymore. For it's like I don't know what it was. It was like 3 days, only 2 minutes, and do this counting. So I counted 1, 1, 1, 1, for a very long time. But it was the end.
It worked. Yeah. 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 It's I mean, that's the thing. Sometimes I loved Thich Nhat Hanh always had that the 1 minute meditation that you would do during the day, and he also had the mindfulness bell. So in the community, they would ring the bell and everybody would stop for 1 minute and, bring their kind of get out of their story or their activity and just be mindful for that 1 minute. Very, I think it's very helpful. The other things that I remember, at retreats, people teaching stuff is stickums and writing something on it, like you stick it on your door of your car and it says breathe, and, in the same way that, there's computer programs that every 10 minutes, especially people that are on computers a lot, and the program simply breaks in and tells you to breathe every 10 minutes, or keep your mind in your body, or bring your mind to your body, wherever it is, So there's a lot of, things like that for our remembering, our daily remembering, because boy, this is countercultural. Our culture is distraction, shopping and I don't know, everything. It's just a distractive culture. And so it means we have to have that virya, that effort to bring ourselves back again and again and again. So thanks, Guy.
Thank you.
Mm.
Hey, John, it's Marie.
Hi, Marie.
Hi, John. You just nailed it when you said counterculture. That was going to be my question is, how this practice, I liked how culture kept coming up and how this practice feels very counterculture. And just wondering if it's mostly our Western culture, like when you're in Southeast Asia.
When I'm Southeast Asia, I have to say they do practice, and they, the same practice, and they go to sometimes to be 500 people in one, like nunnery or whatever, and they all practice for a week or 10 days, and they go back, and they are no different. They are forgetting all the time, and you kind of get it. I mean, there's some of the very serious ones, but it's the human mind. The thing is fickle. It just chases anything that that comes
So it's
up.
almost like counter-human. Counterculture versus like counter-human experience.
Well, yeah, it is. Because the culture is based on, greed and distraction.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unfortunately, those are two things that are very prevalent. And it's why would there be a spiritual practice? Why would anybody do any of this stuff? Because this is something that, in a sense, kind of counters that on a certain level. But more than that, it's about bringing some peace and ease to the busyness of the culture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is not exclusive. I think it's every culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's called
Thank
human.
you.
You're welcome.
And Kimberly had a question. I don't see her now.
Oh, hi, I'm still here.
There you are.
Thank you, John. It's lovely to be here this evening. This is kind of a very rudimentary beginner question, but doing the counting breath, it's breathe in on one, exhale on one, breathe in on two, exhale on two.
Yes.
Okay.
And the thing is, I actually, I use it as one in, one out, two in, two out, three in.
So are you counting on the out breath as well, like one in, one out, two in, two out? Do you count twice?
Yeah, it's very mechanical. But at the same time, there has to be a caveat here. And it's the fact that it has to be following the experience of breathing. So it's not imposing on the breath, but actually just following the breath. So it has to be a little bit softer in the back of the mind for it actually to function properly. Otherwise, you can kind of
Mhm.
just kind of go off into that
Right.
that la la land.
Yeah, no, it really does help with engagement.
Yeah.
For sure. I also could relate to what Charmaine was saying about the clenched jaw. My physical therapist was kind of telling me you need to relax your jaw. So I've been practicing, and it's really interesting because it's another form of being mindful, especially when I'm like driving, which I'm not doing much of, but when I go out into the world or whatever, even if I'm home, I just can feel it. And it's just like bringing my attention back. And she told me to imagine like a soft palette and imagine that you have a thin piece of paper, between the roof of your mouth and your tongue. And it's amazing. And so it is a form of
It is that's one of the
present, and
yes.
yeah,
'Cause-
it's really made a difference.
Great. Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to mention that if anybody has a clenched jaw, it's really helping me a lot. But it's also, being very much in the moment. So it's really helping being
Great.
present.
Well, that's it. There's a lot of I know when I was young, one of the things was I was fear-based, and I would tighten my stomach, and anything that whatever was out of control, then that's where I would, in a sense, kind of protect myself. And I learned how to relax that, but you can do it with the jaw. It's just one of the possibilities here, so thank you. Whoops. So Jenny, I see your hand up, and unmute.
Could you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, when I first started meditating, I just naturally started counting with my breath. I didn't mean to. I was just trying to do breath in, breath out, but the numbers came to me. And ever since then, I've been doing the counting. And I kind of figured out a way to, what is a half an hour? What is an hour? I'm trying an hour now, and I do it very, very slowly, and I count to about 500, and usually it ends up being exactly 1 hour. But is there another way that you could figure out when to stop? Except for counting. I always wonder, because sometimes I just like to clear my mind, and I just want to see if I can just keep away the thoughts. And
Well,
but
works.
how do I figure out when to go out of my meditation?
Well, I always use this. There was someone actually there. It was one of the people of Spirit Rock, their brother or something, made these little timers. And so it used to be that I have to say I have my laziness in teaching retreats. I would sit up and fall asleep.
Yeah,
And
that too.
People would go, hey, that was an hour and 15 minutes, oops, I would use the timer. And, so, this is all skillful means. And so using a timer, it works just fine. And sometimes it's a relief because it's not dependent on you. There's an outside kind of force that will
Right.
kind of remind you.
Well, I do it so early, nobody would appreciate that.
Well, it's good. I think many people I know, their practice is very early.
Mhm. It's
Always,
easier.
well, yeah, it is easier.
I was doing like 2 cups of coffee and reading before I meditated. And then a lot of the times I'd get interrupted, or just, you start thinking about what you have to do for the day. But when I started doing it earlier, there's like no distractions whatsoever. And I could just focus a lot better than I could before. So,
Well, they say, between the hours of it, in the monasteries, the reason it's between 3 and 4:30
mhm.
reason for that is because in those cultures, they're noisy cultures,
Mhm.
not just the chickens, but uh, and so it's the quietest time for
Yes.
psychologically. So it's actually an excellent time
Mhm.
for sitting,
John,
Hey,
I just
can
wanted to
I
add,
offer a
oh,
suggestion, Ginny, for about the timer? Can I offer a suggestion?
Sure,
Uh, do you have a smartphone that you
I
use?
do. I do.
A couple of apps.
Yes, yes,
I have one.
I know they're there. I just thought they'd be disturbing. And sometimes, I don't know why, I'm always afraid of loud noises or any kind of noise. So I kind of jump whenever I hear anything, even when we're meditating like this, and sometimes I'll hear the bell and I'll feel like I want to jump. So anyway,
Well, the reason I thought of that is because I can regulate the volume on the bell.
oh, that's true. That's right. I didn't think about that. Yeah,
and
thank
also
you.
you can put it on vibration if that's
Mhm.
you know.
That's true.
So there's no sound. It's just a little bit of sound. You know, it's modern age.
Thank you.
uh, I just have a question, John. You're talking about the quiet time for meditation. Being a night owl and not being a morning person, I was wondering about meditating before going to bed.
I think
Would
that's great, Kimberly, actually, and especially if you stay up late, it's it's a quiet time, you know. It's
okay.
kind of like almost, I always think it's kind of the cultural, people are asleep. There's some people who do retreats and they only sit at night, you know, and they sleep till 2 in the morning, at 2 in the afternoon, and then they sit all the way through, simply because it's quiet, and they're also night owls. So that's okay. Again, all these things, they're in some ways, each of us has to find our own, it's like our biorhythm of what is the time,
Mhm.
maybe
Yeah,
without the coffee and
yep, exactly.
the booze and whatever, because those are just take you away. If you just,
Mhm.
at least I find this, if that's your commitment, do it first.
Mhm.
And then life is
Right.
richer and there's more remembering in the sense of being mindful and maybe not the clenching of the jaw or the belly or,
Mhm.
something like that. So that's would be my
Yeah,
suggestion.
it's definitely been a big change for me. I love it like this. I
Mm,
really do. It's so much easy to me. It's easier.
okay. Yeah. Well, again, I was just saying biorhythms is that everybody's a little different. And, so it's just fine. Who are you? And what allows you to find that place of kind of collected sense of ease, you know,
Mhm.
for you, it's maybe night, for somebody else, maybe 4 in the morning, it's all, uh, it's all the wonders of being our own individualism, not like going into a Japanese monastery and you have to do this and that, or I mean, in Asia for me, I mean, getting up 3:30 and starting at 4 was just, is actually the best thing I could do. I don't do it anymore, but for a long time it was really, oh, I like this, as a cultural piece. So each of you will teach yourselves how, what's the most efficient, energetic, because, for some people it's like, if they get up, they just fall asleep. And I don't know if that's meditation. I don't know about that. But, or other people, they can't do it late at night because, at 7 o'clock, they fade out. So it's just finding what is it that works for you, and, again, I'm just going to jump back to this. is that the art of this is the continuity of the awareness, you know. So how are you going to do that in the day? You know, whether you sit wherever you sit, and kind of support that awareness, because it's, you know, to me it's just like, you know, after you ride a bicycle for a long time, it becomes very habitual. The same way that the mindfulness, because it's a trained thing, becomes very much a part of your life, you know. So we're kind of at hour here, and tomorrow we're going to, today was just about the energy and the perseverance and persistence and effort. And then tomorrow is actually about concentration and samadhi. These things are kind of married together. If you don't have one, you don't have the other. So tomorrow I'll kind of step into the aspect of concentration. I want you to note your energy. This the homework. Please sit in the morning. It behooves you. You know it. And you know, I don't designate a time. You know, if you're sitting, you're sitting. And then just to notice your energy during the day of, you know, oh, look, you know, spacing out, and you space out, you're not aware. And then when there's, because it's that like sona that I kind of read that thing out of the suttas. It's when there's the balance of kind of is the balance of energy without being too excited about it, and or being too lax or lazy about it. That what they call the middle way. So that's your homework. You know. So let's just take a moment to do a little metta here for closing. So this practice of kind of bringing attention to the body and the breath, when there's a sense of relaxation or ease, there is the knowing of the good heart. And that, in a sense, kind of befriending. And again, whether you use phrases or not, you know, I'll just, again, kind of use mine. May I live with an open heart. May whatever covers my heart be dissolved. May I live with an open heart. May whatever covers my heart be dissolved. Just kind of holding yourself, your breath, your body. It is this natural goodness. And that we can care for ourselves and also bring the energy and the awareness so that we can stay awake and mindful during the day and not be lost or forgetful. And then we take our practice together, and as a community, we extend out this. It really is the great wish that that beings everywhere may be at peace, and that they may find love and care, and that all beings everywhere may ultimately experience a moment of freedom for the benefit of all. And again, if there is any energy or power or merit that is created through our coming together like this, that we extend it out to beings everywhere, that they may benefit from our time together. May all beings everywhere be happy. So stay awake.